आहार्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवं शिवं शिवम्.
Good morning and welcome to the 27th and final episode of Ahargana. I am back where I started 2 years back. 2 years back on Sauramana Yugadi, I released the first episode of Ahargana and I was on the banks of the Kaveri. I am at the same spot again today, 2 years later, to wind up with the final episode of the Ahargana series. It's a beautiful spot here, just about 2 hours drive from Bangalore. It's been a harsh summer this time. Yesterday was extremely warm, but today morning when I wake up, the clouds are filling up the sky. I hope it rains, but it doesn't matter, I take what I get. There's a little bit of rapids here. I mean, it's not really rapids, but there are some rocks and you can see the Kaveri flowing by my side. You can hear the sound of the river, if I stop talking, that is. And as always, there is a gentle breeze blowing. We never realize how important it is to feel nature with the sounds which you hear. Wonderful place to be in early in the morning at 7 o'clock. With the closing episode of Ahargana. Since this is the closing episode, I want to make a few remarks, kind of tie up one loose end which has been hanging loose all through Ahargana. You know that I have been going to scenic places to do the opening of every Ahargana episode. The reason I've been doing that is that I believe that our ancestors saw divinity in nature. Angikam bhuvanam yasya vachikam sarvavangmayam aharyam chandra tharadi tvam nama satvikam shivam Shivam, Shivam. Shivam, of course, is divinity personified as a person. His body is the entire universe. Angikam Bhuvanam. His speech is the essence of all speech. Yasya Vachikam Sarvavangmayam. His ornaments are the moon and the stars. Aharyam Chandra Tharadi. Now, if you envision Shivam as the entire universe, it's essentially saying Shivam does not have a form. Divinity is formless. But if you come to southern India, you will see Shivam envisaged as Nataraja, the dancing form of Shivam, Pillai Ambala Nataraja. And if you take a dancing form of Shivam, then this shloka becomes all the more pertinent, because the words of that shloka are very, very, very specific to Natya Shastra. Angikam is not just the body. Angikam is that which a dancer expresses through bodily movements. It's Angika Abhinaya. And Vachikam is not just speech, it is that which a dancer expresses through speech, through words. So you're talking about the song, the music, the lyrics that accompany the dancer. And aharyam is not just the ornaments, but it is that which is expressed through the ornaments. That's the entire costume which a dancer wears. So now you come to Shivam, Angikam Bhuvanam of Shivam. If it is a human dancer, then Angika Abhinaya is expressed by the bodily movements of the head, of the neck, of the shoulders, of the legs, of the hands, of the eyes. But if the dancer is Shivam, then his Angika Abhinaya is expressed through the movement of the entire universe. And that is why it's called a cosmic dance. And that is what I have been referring to throughout Ahargana as nature on a much grander scale. And of the Angika Abhinaya of Shivam, we have been focusing all through on a very, very, very small, tiny bit movement of the sun and the moon around the earth. And that took us 2 years. It has been 2 enriching years for me. I enjoyed making it, and since I've been scouting for locations, going to different places, setting up my camera, finding the right angle to capture nature, I get what our ancestors meant. There is divinity in nature. So before getting on to the topic for today, if you have stayed with me all through Ahargana, let me introduce myself now. You may like to know who I am. I am Kishore Kumar. I am a Kannadiga. I live in Bangalore city. I spent my entire life working in the software industry in India. When I started, there is no software industry. When I come to the end of my career, India is world famous for software. And everything that you see in Ahargana, I think it's a culmination of everything that I have learned, everything that I have put in practice and developed through my association and operating in the software industry all these years. So that's about me. So let's get into the topic for today. What I have been building up to in the episode, in the season 3 of Ahargana, is coming to a closure now. So the savana dhina, savana ahoratra is not 24 hours. We saw that in the last episode. Savana ahoratra varies around 24 hours. Day starts with sunrise. So I will go back to the Hindu clock and I will show you that the clock starts ticking at sunrise. After 60 nadi, the next sunrise will not happen, because it will take a few more vinadi before the next sunrise. So after 60 nadi, the clock will continue to tick 1 vinadi, 2 vinadi, 3 vinadi, 4 vinadi, 5 vinadi, 60 nadi, 1 vinadi, 60 nadi, 2 vinadi, etc., etc. And then sunrise happens and suddenly the clock will reset back to 0 nadi, 0 vinadi, 0 prana. So it will keep moving, it will go beyond 60 and then boop, jump back to 60. And that is what I call as a discontinuity, and that is inherent in the Surya Siddhanta definition of a variable savana ahoratra, with nadi, vinadi, prana being the fixed durations derived from nakshatra ahoratra. Whereas the modern clock has taken the average 24 hours and built the modern clock around it, because it's a clock. Modern clocks, mechanical clocks, were wound by a spring, operated by a wound up spring, and they need a constant 24 hours to work with. Whereas our Hindu calendar works with a variable savana ahoratra. So with that, I am going to roll the animation now. Take a look. Okay, let's get started. In this final episode of Ahargana, we will take a very close look at what I have been referring to as a discontinuity in the Hindu clock, which is necessitated by the definition of savana ahoratra. So we will start by looking at where we left off in the last episode. Here is this graph which shows you every single day in 2024, Jan 1st to December 31st, the duration of a savana ahoratra at Bangalore. And we have seen that a savana ahoratra is not equal to 24 hours. Instead, it varies around 24 hours. Sometimes it is greater than 24 hours. Sometimes it is less than 24 hours. This we have seen. Now, I'm going to make a small change in this graph. I'm going to switch this graph over. Instead of showing hours, I'm going to show nadi. There. Now it is showing nadi instead of hours because I am now interested in the Hindu clock. Hindu clock does not show hours, minutes, seconds, but it shows nadi, vinadi, prana. And when you come to nadi, this mean solar day is no longer important because mean solar day is 24 hours. That is very important to the modern clock because modern clock fixes this 24 hours and works with it. Whereas for the Hindu clock, what is really important is this idea of a nakshatra ahoratra, which is 60. We have seen this in an earlier episode where we have defined what is a nakshatra ahoratra, and then we showed it's a fixed period, and a nakshatra ahoratra consists of 60 nadi. And that is the basis of the design of the Hindu clock. So I have even shown you a Hindu clock before, so to refresh your memory, so here is the clock which shows 60 nadi, 60 vinadi, and 6 prana. We have seen this before, and here are some important information. For example, one nadi is slightly less than 24 minutes. And one nakshatra ahoratra is not 24 hours, but 23 hours and 56 minutes. That's 4 minutes short of 24 hours. This also we have seen before. And one nakshatra ahoratra is nothing but this entire period, 60 nadi. So 60 nadi is 4 minutes short of 24 hours. And that's what is being shown here. This is 60 nadi. And this mean solar day is 24 hours. So the gap between them is approximately 4 minutes. Now, the more important takeaway in this is every single day in 2024, throughout from January 1st to December 31st, is greater than 60 nadi. None of these days end at 60 nadi. All of these days go beyond 60 nadi. So for example, here I am showing you this day, 17th January, 60 nadi, 10 vinadi, 0.9 prana. You come here to February, this is 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 4.9 prana. You come here, 60 nadi, 9 vinadi, 2.4 prana, 19th May. You come here to the highest day, 9th December, it's 60 nadi, 11 vinadi, 1.5 prana. You come to the lowest day somewhere here in March, even that is 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 0.7 prana. Every single day is greater than 60 nadi. Now what does this mean? This means that is in this Hindu clock, if the nadi hand goes one full circle, comes back to 60, the day is still not over. This is very different from the modern clock, where 24 hours in the day is considered done, whereas here in savana ahoratra, the day is still not over. Until the next sunrise, the clock will keep ticking. So I want to see what the implication of this is, that every single day is greater than 60 nadi, clock will keep on ticking beyond 60 nadi, it's still the same day, until at some point in time, sunrise happens, next day starts, which means the clock has to reset back to 0 nadi, 0 vinadi, 0 prana. That's what I'm going to demonstrate to you now. That resetting back to 0 nadi, 0 vinadi, 0 prana. And to demonstrate that, let me pick the day of Sauramana Yugadi, which is 14th April 2024, 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 2.0 prana. Remember this, 60 nadi, 8 vinadi and 2 prana. Only after this period is elapsed, the next day, 15th April, will start, according to the Hindu calendar. Of course, we won't call it 15th April, 16th April, but for convenience, I am maintaining still the same month names. So 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 2 prana is the time when the clock has to reset back to 0. So let's come back to the clock. So imagine this is Sauramana Yugadi, sunrise, 14th April. And I have shown you sunrise, 0 nadi, 0 vinadi, 0 prana. All the hands are aligned at 0. Clock starts ticking. The prana is ticking first, and it's approximately 4 minutes, slightly less than 4 minutes, 4 seconds, I'm sorry. And now it's become 1 vinadi, then it will become 2 vinadi, 3 vinadi, etc., etc. The whole day has to elapse. We don't want to sit and keep staring at the screen for the next 24 hours. So I'm going to adjust this clock a little bit. Let me pause the animation. I'm fast forwarding the clock. 30 nadi, 40 nadi. I'm going to bring it up to 58, 59 nadi. I brought it up. Vinadi is also, let me fast forward, bring it up to 58, 59. And let's restart the clock again. Now the clock is ticking in, still as much close to real time as possible. This is, as I mentioned, approximately 4 seconds. But GeoGebra is not a clock software, so I'm not able to get the exact timing as precisely as I would like to. But now you see that 60 nadi, 1 vinadi, 1 prana, the sunrise symbol is no longer there. I removed it. Because though we have crossed 60 nadi, 1 vinadi now, this is still, according to the Hindu calendar, the same day, the Sauramana Yugadi day, because the next sunrise has not happened yet. The next sunrise will happen only at 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 2 prana. So I'm going to wait until this clock comes to 60 nadi, 8 vinadi and 2 prana, and you see what happens. In fact, it won't come to 2 prana, it will come to 1 prana, and then something will happen. Take a look. This is still Sauramana Yugadi day, because the next sunrise has not happened yet. And I don't want to fast forward this part, because you need to get a sense of, how much beyond 60 nadi the day is continuing. It's not a trivial small amount of time. It's a significant amount of time. The day is continuing beyond 60 nadi. Now 60 nadi, 4 vinadi. Sixty nadi, 5 vinadi now. 3 more vinadis to go until sunrise of the next day. Sixty nadi, 6 vinadi. 2 more vinadis to go until the next sunrise. Let me get rid of these clock controls there. 7 vinadi. So we are in the last lap. Watch carefully now. 60 nadi, 7 vinadi, 2 prana, 3 prana, 4 prana, 5 prana. Now 60 nadi, 8 vinadi, 0 prana, 1 prana, and now you see what happens. Boom. Sunrise happened and all the hands reset back to 0, 0, 0. The sunrise symbol also appeared here. Now we are in the next day, next savana ahoratra. And this is the discontinuity in the Hindu calendar, which I have been talking about in the earlier episodes. The only way this discontinuity can be avoided is by breaking the Surya Siddhanta definitions. For example, if you say nadi is not from nakshatra ahoratra, nadi is a variable period, you've got to do all those kind of things, but that is not my intention to explain what others are doing. I have gone with Surya Siddhanta definitions of nakshatra ahoratra and savana ahoratra. And as far as I can see, a Hindu clock has this complication in it because of the variable duration of savana ahoratra and the fact that it insists that every day should begin with sunrise. That means sunrise has to be 0, 0, 0 nadi vinadi prana. You saw in front of your eyes how the clock reset back when the next sunrise happened. So with this, I close this episode. And this is the final episode of the Ahargana series. We have seen 3 seasons already. The first season was the Chandramana, which was fairly simple. Sauramana became more complex in the second season. Third season has been dealing with small periods of time, nakshatra ahoratra and savana ahoratra. In my opinion, this is the most complex of the 3 seasons and the most intriguing of the 3 seasons. So I will close this episode here. Thank you very much for watching. So that brings us to the end of Ahargana, the end of savana ahoratra, and that's pretty much all the topics I had to cover, and I have covered all of the topics to the best of my abilities. There is one more topic which I need to cover, which is about the term samvatsara, and I'll probably do a short video or a tutorial sometime later. But effectively, this brings me to the end of the Ahargana series. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making this series. So do tell everybody in your circles that such material exists on YouTube, and I hope these videos will stay there on YouTube for a long time so that people can read them. It's kind of like a reference material. I know every episode is half an hour, that's a lot of time, but the Stellarium animations are really about 15 minutes, half of that, 15 to 20 minutes. And you can always skip the initial portions and go to the Stellarium animation to look at the actual astronomical information behind the Hindu calendar. I believe this is a topic which all Hindus should know. In fact, I am now going to try and see if I can take this topic into schools in India. There are schools which are interested in inculcating an understanding of Hindu culture in the students, and those are the kind of schools I would like to engage with. And if you can help me, please reach out to me. If you know of a school where this topic might be welcome, I would be more than happy to connect with them and work with them towards introducing this topic in the schools. Yeah, it may not be possible to introduce a school curriculum, but certainly as extracurricular or co-curricular topic, this is something which can be taken to the schools. And I believe school children will be able to understand this because of those stellar emanations. You see the orbital movements of the sun and the moon. And I think school children, either not primary school maybe, but secondary or high school students will absorb it like a sponge. That's my belief. So with that, I will close this episode. I've put my contacts as subtitles to this video. So if you have any further questions, reach out to me, email me, connect with me, and we can discuss this offline in the real world. Online, YouTube, I have done all that I can. Thank you very much for your support. Those of you who have left comments on my channel, your comments have been most encouraging to me to keep going over the last 2 years. Thank you very much. With that, I'll close this episode. Take care and bye-bye.